The ANC in the Eastern Cape is holding its Provincial Executive Committee Lekgotla. This is a platform for the party in the province to discuss its plans for the year. Our reporter Ronald Masinda joins us from the East London International Convention Centre. A very good morning to you, Ronald. So what are some of the burning issues that the ANC Eastern Cape is likely to discuss?
Good morning, Morena. Well, it has been a very busy few months for the ANC, not only here in the province but nationally. Of course, at the end of last year, we had the national conference, which was concluded in January, where, of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa was elected for a second term. Then the January 8th statement took place, as well as the party's 111th birthday celebrations. Now it's time for the Lekgotla, where the ANC is, of course, discussing very pertinent issues that are affecting many South Africans, in particular the energy crisis. And the buzzword has been for the ANC the issue of renewal and how it can rekindle much needed supporters ahead of next year's general election. Without any further ado, I am going to be speaking to the Secretary of the ANC here in the Eastern Cape, Mr. Lulama. Sir, thank you so much for your time. A very important gathering, it must be said. In terms of the energy crisis, what could be tabled today with regards to what the province proposes?
Thanks very much. Over and above what was agreed to at a national level, part of the critical things that we are focusing on is on how the energy disrupts critical industrial areas, whether it's about the automotives in East London, also in Nelson Mandela. Now, our proposals will be around how do we save that particular area of focus. That's the first element. But the second element is how do we ensure that we have alternative energy programs in around the health and education sector, so that it does not disrupt the services in those two areas. So that is our focus insofar as today. Of course, we are anchoring all our energy proposals on what the national Lekgotla has agreed.
There was also talk of a national state of disaster in trying to deal with this electricity crisis. In your view, is this the right way to go? Because we do understand that the national executive is also talking about getting legal advice on this matter.
Obviously, yes. The ANC Eastern Cape was one of the proponents for the state of the national disaster insofar as dealing with matters of energy. You know that everybody, every sector of the society is being affected by the crisis of energy. So that's the first element. And henceforth we said all the authority, all the resources, all the skills that are needed must be focused on dealing with the energy, because the energy affects both the livelihoods and lives in our country now.
But the big issue here in the Eastern Cape, of course, is also the issue of municipalities that are going through a lot of problems. Later, or last week, we went to the municipality in Okungijima. They were dealing with many issues there, protest action that put the town to a standstill. Now, in terms of these municipalities, has there been action taken against them to get their house in order?
You will remember that in Okungijima, we just about 2 months ago changed the leadership of that particular municipality. But changing the leadership on its own is not the resolution. There is already a national intervention in Okungijima from the National Treasury and National Cocter, working with the Provincial Cocter. Part of the problems are the systems and processes, in particular in procuring of the services in that particular area. But secondly, the lack of resources in order to deal decisively with that particular matter. Now, with the invitation of both National Treasury and National Cocter, both the Provincial Executive Council has agreed to that particular process, so that can be able to deal with decisively with that particular problem. But dissolution of that particular municipality will not be a recourse in terms of the crisis that we are faced with in Inokum. Their problems are structural in nature, and part of the decision that we will be able to take here is how best does the provincial and national government interface with that particular space in order to resolve those particular intractable structural problems.
Mr. Ngwaitube, before I let you go, Friday there was a big meeting where MECs were called upon to be addressed. I'm glad that you're laughing, because I want to ask you what that meeting was all about, and has it anything to do with the looming cabinet reshuffle?
With cabinet.
There's a cabinet reshuffle that is expected nationally. Will it affect some of your members?
We have got what is called the monitoring and evaluation at a provincial level that is led by the Provincial Secretary of the African National Congress. Part of what that we're doing is to, from time to time, every 3 months, also in preparation for meetings of this particular nature, meet with all the mayors. We met with all the mayors that Monday. Last week on Friday, 2 days ago, we met with all the MSAs. Part of what we are doing is to look at the problems that were faced as a province and how do the departments and ministries effect change and how do they expand the monies and whether those particular monies create value for money in terms of physical service delivery. So it's about those particular matters. So it's about monitoring whether we're making progress in terms of the real lives of our people. Because also about how do we change those things that do not make sense now, given the urgency of other elements. So we are preparing for this particular matter, so that when we go to this particular Lekgotla, we'll come here with a program that can be able to change the status quo in the Eastern Cape, in particular given the crisis that we have been faced of the disasters.
All right, Mopala, thank you very much indeed for your time. That was the Secretary of the ANC in the Eastern Cape, Mr. Lulama. It's back to you in studio.
All right, thank you very much, Ronald. We'll leave it there with you. Of course, that is our reporter, Ronald Masinda, live from East London.